What's up, everybody, and welcome aboard the Starship to another episode of Planet New Jersey, the official podcast of the NJBIA, New Jersey Business and Industry Association. I am your host, Randy Stevens, for the day, and alongside me, as always, is the guru of comms, Vin Civitillo. Vin, say what's up to everybody.
What's up to everybody?
Nice. Today we have a very, very special guest, President and CEO of Lincoln Tech Institute, Mr. Scott Shaw. Scott, we're excited that you're with us today. And just before we allow you to introduce yourself, Lincoln Tech has been a long-time partner of the NJBIA, and they are offering real world training for a hands-on career. Scott, how did I do with that?
You did great, Randy. It's exciting to be here. I haven't had a podcast in New Jersey in quite some time. Hopefully, I'll do well by it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're excited. And again, we just want to give a special shout out to today's sponsor, Lincoln Technical Institute. Eight campuses, I believe, across the state of New Jersey. We'll get into that in just a few. And just before we kick things off, we're going to ask all of our listeners to like, subscribe, and share. Be a big help to us. We greatly appreciate it. Vin, go ahead and kick us off, man.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's the summer still. I mean, we've been feeling that more than ever. I wanted to see what's going on with Lincoln Tech over the summer, or you personally, like when the students are away. I mean, most of the students. I know there's still a lot going on during the summer. What happens at Lincoln Tech, and what happens in the life of Scott Shaw?
Well, sure. Well, our students are with us throughout the summer. We don't have a
Wow.
summer vacation.
Oh,
That's one
all
of the things
right.
about us that's a little bit different. So our campuses are just as alive today as they will be in July, in August.
Wow.
And for myself, though, I like to be outside. And even though it's been oppressively hot, I work a lot in my garden. That's what keeps me going.
What are you growing?
No fruits or vegetables, too many plants and diseases, just flowers and trees and shrubs, things of that nature. A lot easier to maintain.
My wife and daughter keep trying to grow fruits and stuff, and it's like I don't understand why they do, because we're basically just feeding the squirrels at this point, like they get to them long before we do. So yeah.
I agree 100%. A lot easier
uh,
just to go to a store and buy it.
yeah.
I'm in South Jersey, so kind of some farmland areas down here a little bit in Burlington County, and we've successfully grown this year just lettuce. I think it's the only thing that kind of continuously comes up that we can utilize in the house. And then to help with the squirrels and the birds as a distraction, we've got some bird feeders on the other side of the yard, which kind of keeps them occupied. So that's amazing. Scott, I thought it was funny too. You said the campus is just as busy now as it is throughout any other time of the year, and I've got two little ones that are home for summer break. And every other day they ask, Daddy, what are you doing? Listen, unfortunately, some of us still have to work, right? We don't
Right.
get to unplug. We don't get to unplug for 2 months or 10 weeks like the rest of some of the younger ones do.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of our students would like break. They did have a break at 4th of July, but that's the only break they have during the summer.
Gotcha. Scott, one of the things I found interesting, and Vinny and I were talking about this before we actually jumped online here. I didn't know that Lincoln Tech was, I know we've got several campuses here in New Jersey, but I didn't know that we were like, it was a national kind of institution as well. We were playing around online and saw some of that as well. Can you talk to that about it a little bit?
Sure. And just to clarify, we only have 6 campuses in New Jersey. I like to
Okay.
have 8. Maybe someday we'll have 8. But yeah, so Lincoln Tech started in Newark, New Jersey in 1946.
Wow.
Our founder was from New Jersey, and he came back from World War II and was looking for a way to help his fellow vets get back into the workforce. And so he started the school. And over the next, 80 years, it's grown, and it's been in different states. We're in 12 states right now,
Wow.
with about 22 campuses in total.
Wow. That's amazing. And I mean, I think it's interesting too, just the dynamic. You were saying just how you guys are so busy. There's a lot going on in terms of higher education and ways that folks are looking to kind of get into the workforce. So Lincoln Tech seems to be kind of a good way for folks to get a trade and immediately get to work. It seems like you guys do a great job with helping folks find employment right after getting, the credentials and things they need with you guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's everyone who comes to us really is coming because they know they want to get into the workforce as quickly as possible. And that's one reason why we don't have summer vacations or winter vacations. It's almost more like a job. So the students are coming to us 4 days a week, and yeah, they're coming because they know what they want to do. They're not trying to discover themselves or figure something out, but most of them have determined that I want to be in the trades, I want to go to work. And so our whole objective is to give them those skills so they can get a job as quickly as possible. And we help them throughout that whole process.
So is it that the curriculum goes year round, or is it more like we've got like students that'll go like, I don't know, January to March, and then other students March to June, and then other students June, like is it like that?
No, the curriculum is going year round. So every month, a new class is starting, and those students will be with us for basically 12 months. And just to put it in perspective, in those 12 months, you'll get more education time in front of an instructor professor than you would in 4 semesters at college because they're just coming every day, every week,
Wow.
month after month.
What
Wow.
kinds of things are they learning?
Oh, so yeah, we specialize and we basically have 7 programs that we're offering. We have skilled trades, which are our most popular, and that would be welding, an HVAC tech or electrician, then automotive training and diesel training. And then we also have a licensed practical nursing and a medical assisting. So we have healthcare, skilled trades, and transportation. And all the programs are roughly about a year in length.
Wow. And you said from the history you share with us, a brief history, you said 1946. That puts us right around what, 80-year mark right for now, is
And
it?
it yeah, very good, good math. So yeah, we're about to start. We're going to have a 80th celebration. We'll be doing that in the fall, in Jersey City. So we're in the midst of planning that, but it's exciting. I mean, we're one of the oldest institutions out there, training in the whole country, and we've been doing the same thing since then. And we've added on. We started. It's funny. The founder. The new technologies when he started were the first of all the automatic transmission, as everything
Mm.
else was stick, and that was new. And then the second new technology was home air conditioning. Given this past weekend, I can't imagine not living without air conditioning. But that was kind of a new technology that more and more Americans were starting to get after the war, and so they were training people how to maintain and fix both of those. And over the years, we've changed and expanded the curriculum, and whatever industry needs and whatever companies want us to do, that's what we do. We meet with different employers twice a year, ask them to critique our students, ask
Mm.
us to tell us like what should we stop teaching, what should we start teaching, just so they stay current and are as relevant as possible.
And Scott, what does that look like? So, say, myself, I came through, I picked up a trade within 12 months or so, I've got a certification, working on job placement. And then as I'm out in the field, do students come back and kind of further develop or maybe take their skills or trades to another level? Is that something that's available through Lincoln Tech as well?
Well, it's not available through us. It is something that many of them do. I mean, most of them, we have lots of students that have risen up over the years into expand their career. What we do is give them that solid launching pad. And
Gotcha.
then let's say if you're an automotive mechanic and you go to a dealership, you're then going to go to specialized training for whatever
Gotcha.
OEM brand you're working on. Some students, now with everything online, some students do go back to college afterwards to maybe get an associate's degree or bachelor's degree so they can move up within management. It all depends on what the student does. I will give you a nice little fun fact that the CEO of Intel, and I'm sure you've heard of Intel, not a small company, but
Right.
we actually gave him a scholarship to attend our Allentown campus
Wow.
right out of high school. He then went on to go to, I think, Berkeley and Stanford to get a master's and develop some of the first computer chips. But that's the power of education. It's to give people opportunity, open their minds, and then they can take it wherever they want to take it.
Wow. That's amazing. It's amazing. And I mean, I'm a relationship manager here for the NJBIA. Tell me what that side of things are like, Scott, in terms of you were speaking earlier about staying in touch with some of the organizations you guys do some placement with to say, hey,
Yeah.
critique our students, look at our curriculum, where are some things that we can improve. How does that work from your standpoint?
Yeah, so it's very important. Again, our students are, I'd say, on average older. The average age of our student is
Sounds-
25,
Wow.
Oh,
but we have about 20% of our students right out of high school. But most of them have been out in the workforce and they're looking to change their lives and really get into a career that they can grow with. And so, in order to ensure that that happens, we meet with different companies that are hiring our students and trying to change the curriculum. We look at it both at a national level. We have national certification in construction. That might be NCCER or the American Welding Society. In automotive, it's ASE. In nursing, it's ASIN, the American I'm not actually sure what ASIN stands for, but it's a national certification. So we have the big, broad certifications, but again, each market could be a little bit different for what the employers really need in that market. So it's a constant interaction with them. And since we have these career fairs once or twice, or sometimes monthly at our schools, we're constantly in dialogue with employers to understand what works and what makes our students more valuable to them.
Gotcha.
So you mentioned that the average age of your students is 25.
Yes.
So if they're not coming right out of high school, let's say,
Yeah.
is there like a flexible kind of like, if I've got like a job during the day, do you have like something going on at night where people can,
Great
maybe like a
question.
flex schedule kind of situation?
Yes, we do. Again, we want to make our education as accessible as possible. So we actually have 3 shifts in the day. You can basically come from 8 to 12, or you could come from 1 to 5, or you can come from 6 to 10.
Oh, wow.
So it depends on your schedule. And certain students, their schedules might change. So they might be with us for a couple months in the evening, and then whatever reason, their schedule changes or they get a new job and they might switch to come in the morning. So that is what we're trying to do, is you're trying to make it as easy for as many students as possible to enroll and stay with us, because as you mentioned, many of our students, being that they're older, are working. Many are married with families. In fact, our nurses on average are 29 years old.
Wow.
So they tend to be single mothers who might have had a child. Their child's now old enough to go into school. So now they have time to invest in themselves and get a new career to help support them and their family.
Now, I know the nature of a lot of this is very hands-on. Are you able to do any kind of like online learning, or is it just not possible given the curriculum?
Well, we thought it wasn't possible, but we learned during COVID that it is, because we started out 100% on ground, and then like everyone else, we were shut down. Luckily for us, only about 3 months, and then as soon as we were allowed to reopen, we did reopen and had distancing and scheduled students, so there wasn't as many on campus at any one time. But we did learn that students enjoy doing some of the work online, and it builds in a lot more flexibility. So after COVID, we changed some of our curriculum so that they do about 16 hours a week. I apologize. They do 8 hours a week online, and they do 16 hours on ground. So that
Wow.
means they come to us the 4 days a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They have a 3-day weekend, which helps with a lot of them who work. And when they come, they're only with us for 4 hours. And then sometime throughout that week, they have to do another 8 hours online. So it just builds in a lot of flexibility to make sure that you can balance your life, your work, your family, and your education together. But that was a real changing point for us, the whole COVID experience.
Just got a question for you. So, if you go this traditional route and do, campus or university studies, you're usually assigned like a counselor, somebody that kind of
Yeah.
helps you with your planning and preparation. What does that look like when you go the technical route? Like, are
Yeah.
are students, do they have that similar guidance to kind of guide them through what they're looking to do in their processes?
Yeah, we try to provide a lot of customer support, but what's different about us is that, say, then going in, say, traditional school or college, they're coming to us, let's say, to be an HVAC tech. Our
Okay,
HVAC tech program is 10 courses. And unlike in college, where you probably took 4, maybe 5 different courses at the same time, we deliver ours in 5-week blocks. So what you'll do is you'll study one aspect of HVAC for 5 weeks,
gotcha.
master that. Then you'll study the next aspect of HVAC, and then the next. And once you start, every course is always going to be available to you. So you know that if you start in January and it's a 12-month program, you'll graduate come December 31st. So
Wow.
it's all laid out. There's no, once you get into a program, there's really no thought that you need as far as, oh, what class do I take next, or is it available? It's going to be available. It's already assigned, and you're set to go. But with that said, a lot of our students, as I mentioned, have families and life, and everyone needs support every now and then. So we do have student counselors on staff at our campuses to help students. It could be travel related. It could be just an ear to listen. But we do try to provide a lot of support. And whether they like it or not, if a student doesn't show up, we're going to call them to find out
Wow.
why, because we want to make sure that there's, if there's something that we can do to help them, then we would like to do that. But it's very important to us that students attend because, unlike traditional schools, your attendance does show up on your transcript with us
Ooh.
because employers want to see that. They want to know, first of all, are you an employee that's going to show up every day? And second, they want to know what are your skills that you have. So it's a bit of a different education environment, but our students find it very rewarding at the end of that experience.
You underestimate how valuable it is that all of the classes are just always available to you because like
Right.
I remember in the Paleozoic era when I went to college, you had to like camp out at the bursar's office overnight to make
Yeah.
sure that you got the classes that you need. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
And you get shut out of some classes as you're
Yeah.
really hoping to take, and you could never get to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scott, a little earlier you mentioned market. So across 12 states, but 6 campuses here in New Jersey. 6,
Yeah.
correct? I got that right.
Correct. Yeah.
Are they set up strategically based off of trade? Like what went into that, or like can you talk to that a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah, it's a good question. So all of our campuses aren't identical. So let's say, for example, here in New Jersey, we have 3 campuses that offer nursing, but one of them also offers skilled trades. In addition, then we have 3 campuses that offer automotive and skilled trades, and so they are different. They've slightly different sizes, but in New Jersey they're pretty comparable. But we're building new campuses in new states that tend to be larger and only focus currently on offering automotive, electrical, HVAC, and welding. So it's a different model in some of the newer states we're going. However, since this is NJBIA, which is New Jersey, we are about to open a new school in Long Island in November,
Oh,
which will
Nice.
be kind of like what I just spoke about. We'll have welding, electrical, HVAC, and automotive. So it's still within the New Jersey, New York market, which is our home market.
Awesome. Some of the trades that you mentioned earlier, and then we went over them in pre-production. Talk. One of the ones that I was unsure about: CNC machining and
Yeah.
robotics.
Oh, so it's one of my favorite programs, but I must tell you, it's very difficult to get students to go into it. So what CNC is computer numeric controlled machinery.
Okay.
So you probably think of manufacturing in the old videos, and there are people there sweating away and working on a lathe or working on a machine, and it's dark and dirty and blah blah blah. Well, times have changed. So surprisingly, a lot of people don't know that New Jersey has a lot of manufacturing, not large, huge manufacturing plants, but frankly, a lot of smaller manufacturing plants that maybe have 20 to 30 employees. So up in our Mahwah campus, we have the CNC program. And what it's for manufacturing, and up there, right across the street is Stryker. They make, if you have your hip replaced, you might have a Stryker hip, or your knee replaced, or they also make beds and other things for hospitals. But there are a lot of small manufacturers that make the parts that go into these devices. And these
Gotcha.
manufacturing facilities, a lot of them are very, clean, air conditioned, and these are complicated machines that you're basically programming them to do all the hard work. And you, as the operator, just know how to learn how to program them and make sure that they're operating. A fun fact, though, is that all of our CNC students in Mawa are also employees of NASA
Oh, wow.
Wow.
because our students make parts that go up into the space station. In
Wow.
order to make the parts, you have to be an employee. So they all get to become NASA employees, which is kind of a fun thing
Wow.
temporarily while they're in school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of manufacturing, I was reading that you guys were recently awarded a manufacturing award. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure, sure. Well, I mean, everything that we do is focused around hands-on training, and manufacturing, as I mentioned, is a big part of the New Jersey economy. And whether it's our diesel mechanics or auto mechanics and electricians and HVAC techs and our CNC machining students, they all can be involved in manufacturing in different ways. And so, as the largest provider of electricians, HVAC techs, auto techs, diesel techs, heavy equipment techs in the state of New
Wow.
Jersey. That's one reason why we were recognized for our service to the state.
I think we'd be remiss to not tie in the fact that NJBIA and our manufacturer's roots and history kind of goes hand in hand with what you guys are, the workforce you guys are supplying out there. So, from BIA again to Lincoln Tech, we greatly appreciate all the work you and your students and future employees of the state are doing. Um, so let's do this, man. You talked about some of the different support systems and the flexibilities you guys have around from campuses to schedules and
Yeah.
the support once you become enrolled. What are some stats or what does it look like for your students in terms of success rates and
Yeah.
things of that nature as folks matriculate and go through the program?
Yeah, good question, and something we're very focused on. So our graduation rate is around 67%.
Wow,
And just to put that into perspective, in the United States at traditional colleges, the graduation rate is around 63% in 6
wow,
years, and the graduation rate in the United States at community colleges is around 30%, also in that 6-year period. So we compete more or less more with the community colleges, as we offer a 1-year program. And we're in the process though of getting degree granting in New Jersey to hopefully also offer associate's degrees in the future. But
wow.
our graduation rate, as you can see, at 67% versus an average in the low 30s in New Jersey, is quite good. Also, we are very much focused, as I said earlier, on getting jobs. So our placement rate last year was about 82.5% of students were placed in the field of study. So just to be
Wow.
clear about that, like I was an economics major at college, and my first job was not in economics. Um, uh, and so if you, let's say, go to our automotive program and you get a job at hate to say it, Starbucks or Amazon, that doesn't count. That's not a job that we trained you for. The 82.5% are people that did get the job in the field of study. And
There are
I,
machines to work at Starbucks. I've seen it
yeah,
happen.
yeah, but we didn't train you to work on that machine,
Fair
and
enough.
you probably didn't come to us to go work there. But it's very specific on what we do, and the reason, and we actually have more jobs than we have students, and the only reason why, frankly, they all don't get jobs is simply because some students do go through the program, maybe 5% or less, and decide, well, I don't want to do this. I do want to go do something else. Some students, though, don't want to travel more than 30 minutes to get a job. They want to find something that's right around them. And, unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. But I assure you that there are more jobs out there than we have students. And so there are great opportunities.
Hey, HVAC is everywhere, and people who have problems with HVAC are everywhere. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, we got hit with the storm of a century like last week, and I'm still feeling the effects here.
Yeah. Well, I always ask, since we're based in New Jersey, friends of mine who have an HVAC tech come, to always ask them like, where did you go to school? And certainly, more times than not, they'll say that they've gone to Lincoln Tech. It was we're very high presence of HVAC techs in
That's
this
great.
state. Yeah.
Wow, wow. And so, Scott, listen, someone's listening to us today, and they're, you know what, I like the flexibility. There's actually a campus near me, or one that I've driven by before. I guess one of the initial thoughts that someone may have is, can I afford it? What does that
Yep.
look like in terms of opportunity to financially make this work for me so that I can provide myself a better career in the future?
Yeah, good question. That's obviously one of the big constraints is the cost of the program. So on average, our programs cost around $30,000. That is including that everyone gets a laptop,
Oh,
everyone gets
wow,
professional tools, everyone gets some uniforms as well, because we want you to have that professional experience.
wow,
But I will tell you that given the financial aid, we are fully accredited. So just as you might go to Rutgers and get Title IV loans or Pell Grants, you can get the same through us. The average student leaves Lincoln Tech with about $13,000 worth of debt. So that's a much lower number. It
Yeah.
translates
much
into
lower.
about $155 a month payment for 10 years. So not a small number by any stretch of the imagination, but also it's something that you can manage. And given the salaries that people are making, 40, 50, 60, sometimes more than that $1,000 after these just 12 months of training, you can certainly pay it off and still live a comfortable life.
Wow. Just before we kick this over, unless Vin has something else to our trivia question, you went over a stat earlier that I want to just hit again because I think it was so powerful. You mentioned about Lincoln Tech provides the most of these, certified or
Yeah.
employees in the state around these two industries or career fields. Can you just touch on that one more time?
Sure. So we do look to see how many graduates come out of our schools versus, let's say, the other channels out there, and looking at the other campuses and other schools in New Jersey. And we just have the largest number of graduates for the automotive industry, for the diesel industry, for the heavy equipment industry,
Wow.
for electricians, for HVAC techs, and for welders. And there are other places that people go. So, like, some might join a union directly, which wouldn't be in that statistic. Some might learn on the job to the extent that an employer is going to provide such a service or have mentorship. And others might go to a community college or maybe some other school. But when you look at the absolute numbers, that's where we end up being number one in New Jersey.
That's amazing to hear. Our CEO Michelle Sakurka, it's been pressed upon us to we celebrate our job creators here in the state, right, and just trying to make sure that we're keeping good companies and good employees here. And just to hear that you guys are preparing some of those future employees and employers is an amazing, amazing to and something worth celebrating. So we definitely appreciate your partnership and the relationship that we have with you guys. Then I'll kick it over to you so you can. Now give Scott some hard questions.
All right. I got 3 questions for you today. One of them's more in the sports realm, and the other 2 are more geography based.
Okay.
This first one, I just learned this today, and first of all, it made me laugh, but it blew my mind. All right, does everybody have like a paper and something to write with?
I do.
Yes, ready to
All
go.
right. First question. In the MLB, every single baseball thrown has what from New Jersey on it?
What from New Jersey? I'm just gonna take a guess here. It's gonna be wrong, I'm sure. Of course, my dog will start barking.
Any answers here?
I've got stitching then, but that's just kind of a general me
Oh.
taking a wild guess.
Well, that's probably better than mine. I just said the cover itself.
It's mud. They actually
mud.
mud from New Jersey and
Then I've seen that. I've
single
seen
ball.
that.
That blew my mind. Apparently, like, the balls are just too shiny. Like, we can't just produce the balls to be less shiny. We have to take mud from the Delaware River and
I've
rub
seen
it on
that,
every
Vin.
single ball.
Wow.
Oh,
I wonder
I've
how they
seen that.
discovered it needs to come from New Jersey.
yeah. Who knew? And why New Jersey mud? Like, of all places, it has to be from New Jersey. It's not like we just take mud from wherever it happened. Like, we go like 2 miles from the stadium, or like, around
It's
the
the
back.
old dirty Jersey kind of thing.
We gotta like import mud all across the country.
Our mud is better than everybody else's.
All right. Hopefully this one will be an easier one. Percentage wise, there's only one other state that is surrounded by more water than us. Which is it?
Hawaii? Oh, I'm sorry.
Randy,
That's
what do you
better
got?
guess to me. I was going Florida, so I didn't even consider Hawaii.
Yeah, it would be Hawaii.
Yeah,
Hawaii's not.
makes sense.
Sorry.
I didn't realize,
I jumped
because
the gun.
like, I don't think about us as being like a peninsula, but apparently, like, obviously we've got the Atlantic Ocean on the one side, but the Delaware River, and
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the river on the bottom. It's the Hudson.
No, Hudson's New York. I think it's like the
Yeah.
Delaware Gap or something like that, because you have to take the big Memorial Bridge to get. But yeah, go ahead.
We're surrounded by almost on every side by water. Hawaii's the only one that's surrounded by more. I thought it would have been Florida would have been more than us too, but apparently
That's
not.
where I was going. I'm 0 for 2, Randy. Way to go.
Because of border disputes, part of another state exists within New Jersey. Which is it? Usually, even if you just guess, there's not that many options.
I gotta say, there. I'll.
Exist.
You wanted to write it down or tell you? Or?
This way, just in case Randy's still writing,
I'm gonna guess New York. I was gonna go Pennsylvania, but we'll go New York.
What do we got?
I don't know.
I'm guessing New York as well.
It's Delaware. But
Delaware.
yeah. Apparently, there's a small part of Delaware that exists within New Jersey because of border disputes. You think we would have figured that out within like 200-300 years, but no.
250 years.
Yeah, 250 exactly.
To be exact.
New Jersey. Well, New Jersey. All right, so the 250 is as of we signed the Declaration of Independence, right?
Right.
So New Jersey existed before that, so it's we've had even longer than that to figure this out, right? So apparently,
just can't push them over the river.
Yeah. But that's our game for the day, Scott. Because you got the one right, you win. Congratulations.
Slim margins, President Shaw. Slim margins. Well, listen, guys, we thank you all of our listeners who are tuning in with us, and we'll tune in to watch this. Scott, again, we thank you and Lincoln Tech for everything that they're doing here in the state. We appreciate you being the sponsor of today's show. Then, as always, and then from me, myself, and Planner, New Jersey. See you guys next time.